Hi there, my name is Jamie Devine. Welcome to IAMDIVINITY.
Here at IAMDIVINITY, what we do is we help you unlock your inner power.
So that's what we're doing.
When I come here to the calls, you break out my memory from my childhood.
That's the power. Imagine how healthy our community will be. Like, just so pure and so powerful.
Whispers of the morning stars, love expanded, infinite, come to earth, a hero's journey, finding what has always been, finding what has always been. Finding what has always been. Feel me now, I am the avatar. No ego here remains.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Don Smith. That's Don with 2 N's. And I'm here to share with you what I've developed over 44 years that I call IAMDIVINITY. I say that I am divinity because I'm divine and so are you. No matter what you've done and what you haven't done, you are divine, you always were and you always will be. And it gets all covered up. And so all of those trips to the personal developments and all of those things, and they don't hold. And did you ever question yourself? Instead of just going back and getting the next one and the next one and the next one and none of them hold? Well, there's a reason for that. A very big reason is because you're working at a belief level of who you think you are. That's what beliefs are, both negative and positive. They're who we think we are. So going from a negative belief to a positive belief is not the answer whatsoever. It's about the knowing of who we truly are. There's knowing. It isn't a belief. And so all of these ideas of doing this and all of those trips to the wherevers, it's like dealing with a piece of something. But this is not a piece of anything. This is the total knowing of who you are. And what I've developed over this 44 years is a process that's instant and it's permanent. Now, the permanent comes in by you doing something for holding it. But I'm telling you, there's people have this for years, and it's instant. And how do I say that with such boldness? Well, put it in the category of a phobia. 90% of the population has a phobia of something. Bugs, snakes, rats, heights, water, whatever. And my question to you is, how long did it take for you to create that phobia? Yes, you're right. 1 instant. And yet everybody questions me about that. And yet that's all it took. 1 instant. So now, what I did was, I reverse engineered near-death experiences and phobias to find out how they worked, and I reverse engineered it. So if you can create a phobia in a second, and most times it's before the age of reason, which is 4, 5, 6. Think about that. At that young of an age, that in 1 second you created a lifetime phobia. Well, it's a lifetime phobia because you're holding on to it for protection. That's how the ego works. It's going to get you to hold on to something that's harmful for you so it can keep you aware in case it happens again. That's how toxic your ego is. And it's not your ego, it's the ego. Sorry, my mistake. Because you are much more than an ego. And so what it's about is if you create it in a second, why would it take any longer than a second to reverse it if you knew how you did it? That's what I do. That's one of the pieces. And then the other is the permanentness of it all. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. What color are your eyes? What color are those eyes of yours? Now you tell me how long you've had that color. Yeah, your whole life. That's permanent. Would you agree? But look at the permanentness of a phobia. You had it from age 4 to 84. That's 80 years. You'd think that was permanent. But it was created in a second, and you can reverse it in a second. So it's not. That's what I'm saying. So that's what we're talking about. Something that's instant, something that's permanent, and it's about who you truly are. Your divinity, you're divine. Don't ever forget it. Always remember it. And all of these other things are happening because you have an attachment to the personal development system of beliefs and changing a belief from a negative to a positive. It's not going to hold. It will not hold. Yes, there will be improvements. Congratulations on doing that. That's searching. I'm talking about a shift from this to a shift from this. Who we're not to who we are. And then doing a simple exercise. Takes 5 minutes, 3 times a day, to hold it. And there you have it. That's it. That's who you are. That's why it's like the color of your eyes. The color of your eyes has been that way all this time, and you still have that color. Well, it's the same. Who you truly are is permanent. Who your beliefs are not, because it's not true. No matter how much you believe, the negative or the positive about those beliefs, they're false. And so, I'm here to share with you to go on a journey under 2 hours. Now I'm talking about, like I've worked with 15 different pro athletes or Olympians, okay? That's just in sports. And then mega billionaires, millionaires, and health, cancer. You know, one guy, yeah, I met him in the garbage room in Vancouver. I opened up the door and there he is. And he's so gray and he's humped over and he's like, you think he was going to die any second. I said, holy shit, man, you don't look too good. What's going on? He said, oh, I got prostate cancer. I've had it for 16 months. I've had 32 radiation treatments. And I don't know how much time I have. I said, don't listen to that bullshit. Can I ask you a few questions? Within that 15 minutes, I had asked him all these questions. And all I knew about him was his name was Al. 3 weeks later, I get a call from him. This same guy. He said, hi, Don, this is Al Valjanic. I met you in the garbage room 3 weeks ago. Yeah? Well, I don't have any cancer. Now, I could fill this room with those stories. Fill this room with those stories. And you can access this magnificent, powerful, divine energy called IAMDIVINITY. And what's natural about it, it matches who you truly are. That's the key. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting that you will know who you are and it will override and supersede who you think you are? Now, if you're tied up with that persona that you've developed, in a second, I might add, and kept it all this time, like I just worked with a guy that when he was 9, his mom died, and he decided to harden his heart. And he hardened his heart the next 40 years. And that's what all his issues were about. We went back, cleaned that up, boom, it's gone. All the symptoms were all gone. That's how easy it is, and that's how simple this is. So if you want to continue with your hard work and all of those kind of things, and going back and paying for this again, that again, and this again, and the counseling and the therapy and coaching and all of that, go ahead, by all means. But if you want to be free to be you, free to be who you truly are. And those eyes, every time you look in the mirror, it will remind you how magnificent you are. And that's how this process is about, whether it's in an individual or whether it's in group. And I welcome you to join us in this journey of raising humanity's consciousness from its existing 210 to 700. That's right, you heard it right. 210 to 700. So it's an awesome journey. We're looking for 100 that are willing to go to 700 to raise humanity's consciousness. So I welcome you, and I'll see you on our journey. Well, welcome.
Greetings.
Greetings and hallucinations.
That's a good one. I like it.
It's amazing how we are in the hypnotic state, how we get into these hypnotic states of like just robotically doing things day in and day out the same, and don't even know we're hypnotized by ourselves. So interesting. Can you put the
People's names?
yeah. So certainly like to see how everybody's doing, what's going on. It's a shorter group today for sure.
Yeah, it's a bit later for everybody, so we appreciate you being on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, well, I'm into a lot of different things. All of a sudden, there's like 5 or 6 major things, but one of them is the like what I wanted to do is see how you like. For example, I had a call this morning of the 3 that I did on the weekend. I did them on I can't remember now. Saturday afternoon. Yeah, Saturday afternoon. And it was my wife and her brother and her brother's wife. And I was chatting with them today. And it was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, first of all, they're all Filipino. One of them can hardly speak English, and the other 2 can speak some, a reasonable amount of English, enough that I could do what I was doing. And but yet they are doing absolutely amazing. They have not lost even an ounce of them being in their divinity. And I usually ask questions to check things out, and each one of them was how are you doing? What are you noticing different? All of those kind of things. And it was when they were finished, it was like, what's the metaphor to describe how you feel right now? Because they had all of their programs, all of their patterns, all of their measurements, all of their whole world tied up in what other people thought of them, and were giving all their power away to the other person, their mother or their father or well, it was to everybody around. It was an externally referenced system, all 3 of them. And when I check with them, each of them, like, and when they were describing, I said, okay, now, so I asked them, of course, I'm not sure to what degree I did with you guys, but I asked them, when they were in their stuckness, what size their heart was. It was like the size of a pea. What size they're worth, size of a pea, and how invincible do you feel? Not at all. Completely victim energy. And how free do you feel? I'm completely trapped. So all 3 of them, those similar answers. And when we were done, it was like, well, actually, when I was in the process, so it showed them the difference between being in their light and being in their ego. And so the ego, as everybody knows, it's about constriction. It's about playing small. It's about noticing what's wrong, and thinking the worst. Those are all the programs and patterns of the ego. And so, and then all that smallness and everything, and caught, backed into a corner, and then we went the other way. Now that you're in your divinity, describe your divinity. And it was like there was, like the Earth's too small, like the planets are too small, like it's beyond. And all 3 of them were saying similar things. And it was, hi, Paul and Donna. And so it was pretty amazing. Like you could see it, you could hear it in their voice. They're like, they were so, oh my God, like it was staggering. And when we were finished, all of their externally referenced programs, every single one of them, were completely erased. And there was, and before the next day, I'd asked them the Sunday morning, and then Sunday night, I asked them again, and everything was still there. And then today, again, and it's still there. It's that, and I shared this about my wife, and when I got her to look at her questionnaire and all these programs and patterns and all of the, you know, resentful here and bitter here and helpless here and angry here and not letting anyone in and all of those, all of that stuff. And when she was finished and I showed her, I said, here's I want each of you to look at your questionnaire answers. And Rachma's answer was complete nonsense. That's like an hour and a half later. An hour and a half later, complete nonsense. And that's what was driving all her phobias. All of her phobias. All of her, I'm going to die. Suicidal thoughts. All of it was all linked to the program, and they were all gone. All gone. Like, how amazing is that, you guys? How amazing.
Talk about transformation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can, you know, it literally happened in an instant. Like, you know,
But the actual transformation did happen in an instant. The actual transformation.
I mean, it's the only word I can really think of that can even describe it even slightly is miraculous.
Right.
Because of like where she was before and how the situation was going, and you're like, this is what you need. This is your choice if you want to do it or not. And then she chose, and
yeah,
like, wow.
Yeah, it's so I've been Jamie and I are on a different track. Jamie put the book up, this book up there yesterday of the School of Gods, and I had been we've been studying, reading it and whatever, and it's like, yeah, like we're already doing all of this. We're already doing all of this. So
The confirmation.
yeah, a real confirmation. And they've taken years. They've taken years to, well, I think 10 years or something. That group is together, something along that line. And they're still working on those inner programs to get clear of them. And here is Fiardo, Phoebe, and Rachma, who's and them all like with the language barrier, and it still was like an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
Like, how do you compare, you know, like
You can't.
yeah.
There's no comparison. It's interesting because I was at the gym yesterday and I'm sitting there and I've seen this guy before. He's a bigger Filipino guy. He's all tied up. He looked like he just came out of the prison.
Yeah.
And he says hi to me, and he's like his vibe is so nice. So it's such a kind guy. And we start talking in the sauna for like maybe 20 minutes. I'm like, dude, I'm in here for way too long. I haven't even started my workout. But we started talking and he's like, hey, where you from? Blah, blah, blah. I told him, and he's like, I actually came from California. So he was from California, and he's like, yeah, I was messing up over there, and I told my parents I wanted to move here. So he moved to the Philippines like 20 years ago. And so he started to tell me about all of his addictions that he had to overcome, going to AA and going to this one and that one. And so I shared with him the IAMDIVINITY, and he was mind blown. He's like, what? You can do that? He's like, and I told him about the price of the membership, and he was mind blown. He's like, dude, this is invaluable. Like, people pay $10,000, $20,000 just to go to get rid of one of their addictions, and then they still have another one.
No, it's not 10 or 15. It's 100,000 for most that
Oh.
go to these clinics and whatever.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
100,000.
exactly. It's like that's even more like
Yeah.
we're paying, that's what I'm saying. We need to charge like honestly like 6 figures for this, like easy.
Well, yes, I had been charging 6 figures in small groups of
Yeah.
6 to 10.
Yeah, well, I think we need to go back to that.
Yeah, the value was there, let me say. Yes.
So yeah,
And getting paid $1 million on more than one occasion.
yeah, exactly.
know?
Like it's already the concept's already been proven.
Yes.
Done and done.
Yeah, done and done. Yeah.
But yeah, that was another. It was interesting how like people um that are in so much pain, they see the value,
Yes.
and they're, this is so powerful beyond measure, and we don't even know how it, if I mean you do, but the people in the group don't realize how really profound this can really shift other people's lives. And even for myself, I'm still like realizing like there are so many people there. I mean, everyone needs this.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone can have it, but not everyone will choose. So
And a lot are searching for this, but they're searching in the behavioral model, the beliefs, the personal development, and whatever. And you know what? That's a great step forward. It's better than staying in my addiction or staying in a whatever system. To use a personal development, it's better, but it's a trap actually. You want to know the truth actually.
it's funny because I was telling him that I was like telling him like I had all these addictions, like the weed, the women, the coffee, blah blah blah. And then he's like, yeah, I can see how coffee's an addiction. I was like, guess what? Also, I was addicted to the gym. I was addicted to building businesses. Like those are addictions too, is like because you're trying to find and create your worth from something outside of you. Not saying that you can't use them and build businesses and go to the gym.
Yeah, no,
But whenever like
it's not
that's what,
against them at all. No.
yeah, it's like, but whenever that's where you find your worth.
Yes.
And that's why you see like these guys in there for like 3-4 hours a day. They're like these huge guys, and then they're like so insecure.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's where they find their worth.
Yeah.
Rather than from within. So that's it's going back to your point. Like even the positive ones, the positive beliefs can keep you trapped.
Not can do.
They do keep you trapped.
Yes.
Yes.
In the beliefs of who you think you are. So that's the millionaires and the billionaires and the athletes and the whatevers.
Mm-hmm.
They're building their identity. It's their externally referenced identity. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And so listen to these words. I am worthy. I am loved. I am safe. No, that's not it. I'm not worthy. I am worth. It's like I already am. But the personal development is going from a negative belief to a positive belief. I'm not good enough to I am good enough. And listen to those words. Who was it that I was talking to the other day that I was challenged her on the words?
I think Joanne.
Was it Joanne?
I
Yeah, I
believe so.
think so.
Joanne.
Yeah. And it was just a short, sentence and a half. And yet there was 4 different glitches in that sentence and a half of it being an externally referenced systems that she was accessing to even say the words, let alone want to improve. So she wanted to improve. She got that, but it would have taken forever. Yeah. And it did literally take me 44 years. Literally do that, 44 years to go through all those rat's nests and traps of one sort or another of, okay, well, God, how come that's still here? What am I doing wrong? Or whatever, and that's what it was. It was like working on the negative beliefs and shifting to positive beliefs. And it's flawed. It's actually flawed. meditations are flawed. All of these. Great to do a meditation after you have your belief shifted to a knowing, because now you're actually that's what the divine focus is. It's way above meditation. Way above. Because what you're doing is you're holding the vibration of you being divine and connecting with your creator. That's what it is. Okay? And you're already there. So you're not building on it. You're not trying to get it. It's like, oh, this is who I am. And I'm holding that vibration of my divinity. So a big difference. And they seem subtle, but not when you look at it from the perspective, from my perspective anyway. You know, and it's literally, I understand, like, there's different people calling me right now or talking to me. Could you explain it more? No, it's not going to do you a damn bit of good. It's not going to do you a damn bit of good for me to do more explaining to your intellect the problem you're having because of your intellect. You know, like, so, yeah, but I felt so good when I finished the seminar. How long did it last? You know, how long did it last? And did you go back for more? You know? And so.
Gilbert. This company is a disclaimer: professional development level 3 out of 10 in divinity, breath workshop, Reiki level 5 out of 10, writing machine, semantics is level 7 out of 10. Not everyone is going to be brave and disciplined enough to continue to follow through. The I Am Divinity process is God, level God mode.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Gilbert. And that's who you are. We spend all of our time on the beliefs of who we think we are. A complete trap. A complete trap. That's what it is. And so, you know, and I shared this before, like there's I become really close to a lot of people when I do this process because there's such an intimacy there. And this one person, he was the COO of RIM, and his name was Don Morrison. But he gave talks. He gave talks to ministers and priests and nuns, and his best friend was the Dalai Lama. You know, like that was, he was in that arena. And once he went to this big function, it was like, you know, it was major. It was like the epitome of all of the top, you know, like the Dalai Lama was there, you know, different ones
Different spiritual gurus and stuff, right?
Yeah. And Don was one of the speakers. And anyway, when he come back, and then I met him in person, he said, Don, I got to tell you, there's no one came close to what you have and what you're doing, and what, your own energy. They don't. That was excluding the Dalai Lama. Like he got to wherever he had that when he was born, and so he said there's just no comparison. And so I'm not patting myself on the back. It's like, okay, I'm just trying to help you make a decision of something that you don't know anything about, you know, to be able to, you know, not get caught in that rat's trap, that kind of thing. So it's like, okay, what's the difference? And I you know, I do muscle tests. I do an arm test. And I love working with athletes And one of the things is I do a muscle test, and here's these, you know, kind of like the guy you were saying is a bodybuilder or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
and I'll just ask them I'll ask them a question, and here they are, you know, they're tough, really tough guys, and I'll put two fingers on this. So it's like the negative beliefs a person has about themselves, so I'll get them to think about that. Now I'm talking about athletes like, you know, I did this with Shaquille O'Neal, just to give you a little bit of an idea what I'm talking about here. Okay. And then the positive beliefs. And then their very, very, very best game. Their best one. And it was interesting, I'll come back to that in a minute. The three that I worked with on Saturday, all three of them, their best moment, their best day was giving birth. So here, each of them had children, and it was the first one that stood out for both of them. And the husband was in the room for the other one, so there was three. And I was practically doing chin-ups on their arm when they when they recalled what it was like giving birth to their first child. Okay. And yeah, it was, so that's the difference. So even the positive, so coming back to the athletes, I would really blow their ego out of the water when I would take one finger and put their arm down. Here's these big muscly guys, you know, like athletic. Yeah, come on, bud. Yeah, okay, I will. And then the positive one, you know, it's I use, you know, 3 or 4 fingers, and so and then when I get them into the very, very, very best game, whatever that sport is, because it doesn't matter the sport, I literally can do chin-ups on their arm. Can't budge them.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
To go from doing chin-ups to getting it down with one finger.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then and then it's like, yeah, the like more on the second one, you know, like the positive, and then the awesome one.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I remember that game. Okay. And yet it's so hard to measure. Like I did the Columbus Blue Jackets, for example. I worked the whole team. Well, I didn't work with the whole team. I only worked with the ones that were, I think there was 5 that I worked with, or 4, because they were like, get away from me with that voodoo shit, you know? And I worked with them October and half of November. And then they said, no, we're not going to do this anymore. It's not working. So in January and February was the best month of their whole history. Their whole history. It's the best 2 months in their whole history.
That's whenever you worked with them.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's not working.
Yeah. So I worked with them in November, December, January, October, November. And they said, nah, we're not doing this anymore. It's not showing up.
Wow.
And then January, February was the best months they ever had in their whole history. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing. But that Mike Janik, the Olympic and World Cup skier, that he was getting, I think it was 2 back treatments a day. One for sure, I think it was 2 a day for a whole year. He took my process. Okay, he took my process and didn't need a treatment the whole year. Like, you would think there would be 200 signing up. Who is this guy? How can I get started? And it's on the contrary. It's they're scared shitless of the unknown, and the ego has got, they have such a strong ego that the ego is in charge, and it's going to keep them pumping iron and doing like whatever those things are. Whatever those things are. Yeah. So, you know, and the crazy thing about it was the captain of the Calgary Flames, Jerome McGinley. And he came to see me at the end of October. And he had 2 goals and 1 assist. Okay? 6 weeks into the season. 6 weeks into the hockey season. Took him through the process. He got on my on-demand program. So we connected once a month for the rest of the season. The Flames had not been in the playoffs for 7 years. Not been in the playoffs for 7 years. I worked with one player, even though I tried to get Jerome to get me others, like the goaltender or whatever. And they came to with 1 game of winning the Stanley Cup. And Jerome McGinley got 41 goals that year, won the scoring championship. Like, it's like,
Wow.
So there is a dramatic shift. And I understand about the personal development, how that looks good. It does. I was in it. I was in it for a long time. You know, so, and I had, you know, I was not only in it, but that's what I used, you know, neuro-linguistic programming and you know, I had about 8 certifications or whatever, different things. And then go to an extreme of another, which was the billionaire that had 5 addictions: alcohol, drugs, food, gambling, and sex. Sam talks about his addictions, and I worked with him. And the next day, and this was a guy that hadn't flown his private jet for 6 months or 8 months, forget which one it was. Okay. And he had that much panic and anxiety and all of that. And it was gone. The next day, he had flown out to Vancouver to work with me. And the next day is, Don, I can't believe it. All these cravings that never stopped, they're gone. They're gone. And yeah, and I when I would go in to work with him once a month, we would have a game of golf. And I worked with him like 15 months later. No trace of any addiction. No trace. Gone.
Which is crazy because a lot of the times these addicts will relapse.
Oh,
Most times.
yeah. And lots of them, I know some of them, that they relapse on their way home on the plane after spending 3 months or 6 months or a year
It's crazy.
in a treatment facility. Yeah. So, yeah, there is. So it makes sense that it's.
How can we get Jen in?
So it makes sense that they're so skeptical. How is this possible? And I'm sure that you've had some form of skepticism yourself, you know, about how.
I have.
Yeah.
I mean, the ego had me twisted so many, even after the process.
Yeah.
Like we went to Divinity Mountain, I was like, oh, they're gonna sacrifice me up here.
Yeah.
Don's the Antichrist. Like the crazy stuff. Like,
Yes.
okay, all right, yeah, like, all right, ego. Like, I mean, it's obviously a lot easier after you do the process because you know what it is.
Yeah, you can recognize it.
You can recognize it.
But it doesn't
still
stop the
happens.
ego. Yes.
Still happens.
So Jamie got on like 7 days ahead of me, but it was like I decided to go breatharian and juicarian. And so the other day we were in a restaurant coffee shop getting our juices, and it was like, here's all these cinnamon buns, like these cinnamon buns on this counter. Now I haven't had a cinnamon bun in 20 years, 20 or 30 years. It was one of my favorites. You know, Mom was awesome at caramel squares, cinnamon buns, and I forget what the other one was. And anyway, I'm sitting there, and it's like, yeah, Don, like, have a cinnamon bun. And so the ego's not going to stop. It's not going to, because it's trying to keep trying to stay alive is what it is. It's trying to stay alive, and it doesn't give an F about you. Nada. Like nada. Doesn't care at all. Its only objective, its selfishness and self-centeredness of it, is to live off me. Okay? It's like a parasite. It's like a parasite. And it's going to try to stay alive in every way it can, and it doesn't care if it kills you. It doesn't. Yeah.
What comes up for me is like that's how our whole, like, the whole system that we're living in right now is a parasitic system. So it's like ego based.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just extraction off of others rather than unity and cooperation and harmony. But that's obviously where we're headed with what we're creating here, is a society based off of, it's like a divine system
Yeah.
where it's win-win-win.
Well, it's just like that. I don't know if any of you started reading it or not, but the School of God. Yeah.
School of Gods, yeah.
Yeah, School of God. And I was reading how where they were having their difficulty and all of that. And
That's the cat in the chat.
and they've been doing this for 10 years or more. But they're still working on it. They're still working on it. In other words, cleaning up the internal, what some of you have already experienced, like you did.
Mm-hmm.
But even at that, even though it was in person that we did the second time, and yet you still gave that up.
Yes, but I also didn't get to the root.
Well, that is what it is.
Yeah.
When that doesn't happen,
Yeah.
whether it's, you hid it,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or you wouldn't allow yourself to
go there.
Whatever that is, and it will show up, and that's what the the phase 2 and phase 3 are about. When I do it 3 phases with a one-on-one, and it's like it tricks us. It's attempting to trick us. And so anyway, has anybody got any questions or queries or whatever? Now's your opportunity. Anybody?
So while they're figuring out what questions they want to ask, I'll share what happened for me yesterday. It was really cool.
Yeah.
So I shared this with Don just before the stream. So there's like this healthy, like, it kind of like Whole Foods in the US, but here in the Philippines it's called Healthy Options. So I I saw these probiotic sodas. They're called Poppy. I'm pretty sure they have them in the US as well. And I saw them and I was like, oh, wait, my friend Chris is an investor in this company. I was like, I've never tried it. Let me try it. So I grab one, go home, and I take a picture of it. I post it on my Instagram. I'm like, hey, Chris, well, wow, these are really good. So he ends up, oh yeah, they're popular here in the US. Yeah, he's an investor. I think they were on Shark Tank and stuff, and then there goes the cat again. They brought that deal to him, and so he's an investor in that company. And so he messages me. We hadn't talked in 7 years, and he used to be the goalie of a Germany soccer team, and now he's like just an entrepreneur. So we start talking, and he starts telling me about like what he's been working on. I tell him what I'm working on. Share a little bit about like my story with IAMDIVINITY, when I'm working on with my corporate leasing business. And so he's like, hey, like what I'm working on right now, I have a luxury real estate fund. So him and his team builds these mega luxury mansions in Florida for all of these celebrities, like for example, like Giselle, Tom Brady's wife, or any of these celebrities in like South Florida. Ex-wife. Former wife. And so he builds them. They're like 4 to 5 million to build. They're like 12 to 16 million to sell. And so he basically brings me in on the deals. He's like, hey, like you can, if you want to invest, or if you know anyone that wants to invest, I'll hook you up and all that. And so we start talking, and he actually invites me out to stay with him at his 12,000 square foot mansion in Florida. So it was really cool. Like this is randomly coming. I didn't try to do anything. It just literally fell in my hands. And a lot of this stuff has happened ever since doing the divinity process. It's just like flowing into my reality. And so yeah, I just wanted to share that. We might have something for you guys as well if you want to invest into that. I'm still need to talk to Jamie, see if that's something that we can actually bring to the community. But yeah, it's interesting because like right before this, I posted on my Instagram like, hey, like no amount of money will I ever give up my divinity. And so I really think this is kind of a way like the universe is like, you sure about that, buddy? Like you're gonna have all of these deals coming. So it's like, yes, like I'm sure like I'm not gonna there's no level of money or travel or whatever that I will ever give up this divinity for, my divinity. And so I just want you guys to know that.
Yeah, it's pretty important that it's like if any of you are a painter or whatever, let's say you're going to paint a wall. Well, it has to be clean. It has to be clear. You can't have dust on it. You can't have, because it won't stick. And that metaphorically, it's the same thing.
That's a really good metaphor, actually.
Yeah, it might look good for the first 2 or 3 or 5 days, or even a 2 weeks or something along that line, but then it starts peeling. Then it starts peeling. Or just yeah. So that's the same thing. So
Gilbert says, Don, how did you pitch this process with college and professional leagues? Would it be the same as everyone else?
Well, usually what happens with those,
I'll be right back.
I've been introduced by somebody in that system. But for example, I work with the Vancouver Canucks twice. So how did that happen? Well, there was a golfer that I knew in Vancouver. I was in Vancouver at the time. And so he knew different people. I was on the PGA, working with, that's what had happened. Like, so I'll lead up to how I got with research and motion. So first of all, I'd worked with this golfer that was now retired, and he'd been in it 20, 25 years or something like that in the PGA. And then he introduced me to this Ian Leggett that was on the PGA, and he was the one I'd mentioned him before. He was, on his last stages. He had all these injuries through all his time together, and they're credited with being able to stay longer. And so that's what he was doing, even though he was just Thursday, Friday. He never even got to anywhere close to the weekend, let alone be competitive on the weekend. And the next thing you know, he is making every cut, and he's even in the top 4 or 6 and in the money and all of that. And he hadn't made money for whatever other than, and what happened was he was a friend of Jim Balsley, and he told Jim, oh no, he didn't tell Jim. Jim said, "What in the hell are you doing?" Now, Jim didn't curse, so he didn't say hell. What are you doing that there's such a dramatic shift in your golf game, that you're in the running on Sunday? Oh, it's this Don fellow in Vancouver, and went to see him and did this and that. And that's when Jim called and said, "So, can you deal with this?" "Yep." "How about this?" "Yep." "How about this and this?" "Yeah, no problem." "Okay, I've had this for 15 years. Can you deal with this?" "Yeah, got it done." "Okay, what's the cost when we start?" That's how it went. And I ended up getting 108 or 110, I forget, people, either the top executives in the company, or people at Jim's level, or athletes like the Tour de France. Yeah, like all of that all of those things. And then, so that's, it was pitched by results, but it was pitched by somebody that had the result. That's how that worked, Gilbert. Okay. And so that's how this is. It's like you're sharing your story with someone that you know and that they trust. They trust you. So you just, yeah, like this and this and this and this and this was going on. That's what was going on for me. And then I took this process, whether it's an individual or a group or whatever. I would never suggest doing this guy in a group, by the way, your buddy.
Oh no, he needs to be one-on-one.
Yeah. And so that's how do you word? What was this pitch? Yeah, it doesn't matter who it is. It's like you're sharing your own personal experience, and there is no pushing and shoving and trying to convince. It's like, and if they ask the question first, such as Jim saying to Ian Leggett, "What in the hell happened to you? What happened to you that you're in the playoff on Sunday?" That's it. That's how it worked. That's the best form. Because now they see something that's attractive to them that they don't know how to get. So I remember one was like, I was doing groups of 4 to 6, mostly 6. And I had a chalet that I rented up in Whistler. And so they would come out from Toronto, Kitchener-Waterloo, and they would come up, and we would do a 3-day event. And it was like I just lost my train of thought there for a sec. Like the different dramatic shifts and changes, even on the very, very first day. And, but they came from, now I know, got it back. So there was a buddy of his when we were on the Saturday, so it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this one guy said, "Oh my God, my buddy needs this. And he is going to kill himself with stress, travels all over the world, and and it was all within the company. And yeah, like the doctors told him he had 3 weeks, the high blood pressure, he was going to have a heart attack, like it was all that kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying that some of that wasn't nocebo, but that's what he was told. Okay. And so he called him, and he was in somewhere in the Far East somewhere. Might have even been the Philippines, I don't know. And he called him and said, "Listen, this is what just happened to me. You really need to see this guy." So he literally flew into Vancouver on his way back and took the process. And he went back, what was it, 10 days later? 10 days. So the doctor said he was going to die from the stress. And 10 days later, he went with his doctor, and the doctor said, "What happened? You're in the shape of a pro football player." Now, this guy was given a death sentence that he needed to get something done in 3 weeks or he'd be dead. And so, like, it's so easy. It's so easy just being in your, this is what happened to me, and not push or force or try to get them to do anything. It's like, that's it. All I know is I had it, and I know different people. I've seen others have their experience as well. And that's it. You don't go any further. They say, "I'm interested." That's what you're looking for. Or if they got glazed eyes, it's like, I don't know what in the hell you're talking about. Just leave them for another couple of months or a year or something. You know, something tragic happens.
Like Jamie likes to say, it's like, what's your favorite? What's the favorite phrase? See you next fall. Enjoy your crash. See you next fall.
Right. Yeah. So anyway,
but yeah, so the stories are so powerful, because like the guy I was telling you about in the sauna, the Filipino guy, I just shared with him the billionaire story.
okay.
And he was freaking mind blown, and he messaged me on Instagram. So like whenever people give you those reactions, then it's like, okay, like,
Yep.
that's that person's pretty open to it.
Yeah.
Just using stories, whether it's yours, whether it's
Yeah.
someone else's, whether it's the Gilbert or the Shannon or the Paul or
Yeah.
the Janet or any of
never try to describe your process.
yeah. You might as well just tell them that he pulled out a watch and hypnotized you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, if you try, every question you try to answer, they will have 2 to 5 more questions. Okay. Yeah, Gilbert, go ahead.
Yeah, you're not kidding about those questions. More like 50 to
Oh, you can't
1,000
hear him.
questions.
One
Just
second,
hang
Gil.
on. Just
What's
hang on.
up? 1 sec.
Yeah.
Okay, bud.
Out there looking majestic.
Oh,
Thank you. No, you're right. It's more like 50 to 1,000 questions there, Don.
yes. Yeah.
It's
Totally.
crazy how many they can come up with. It's kind of impressive. Not gonna lie.
Well, keeping in
So
mind, Gilbert, keeping in mind, part of that's their defense mechanism.
yep,
They are in, that's what they're doing. They're trying to protect their ego.
They're trying
that's
to
why
look
I'm
for a
doing the
reason not
whole
to do
know
it.
your craft. I'm
What's that?
enjoying I'm enjoying that whole enjoy your crash kind of thing now. So
Yeah, right.
that's what
Yeah.
moving toward. It's so much easier. I was like, you know what, bro? I don't think this is for you yet. Have a great one. And that's it. Yeah, yeah, it just saves a lot of energy. But the dream that I had last night, it's interesting with the topic of today about deepening our connection. I was in a
Yep.
beautiful hotel, and I remember walking down the hallways, like I'm searching, looking, and the my interpretation of the hotel was like I'm traveling towards, and then it said that the hotel was like a representation of like a ministry, like some type of, and that's kind of interesting. Like what we're doing right now, we're actually doing like divinity ministries kind of. So it's kind of interesting how I went hand to hand with that. And not only that, but I remember going down the hallways searching for the room. And in the hallway, I remember all of a sudden I'm in the hallway and holding a little baby. And I'm just like, what? Where did this little thing come from all of a sudden? So it was my intuition is just telling me it just says continue to keep nurturing this process you're going through because it's really helping you. I also had one I didn't get to share it the other night, but it had to do with what's happening, and it's showing me it showed me a house that was like maybe on 10 acres and a massive castle, and there was a moat around it. And I was like, what's the moat mean? And it starts giving me answers now. So it's saying that water is emotional. So it's saying that it's spiritual emotional protection that it's creating, and that the castle is the foundation of the house that God's creating for me. And not only that, but there was a bunch of pillars that were kind of like circular, and there was a guy out there painting on them like a huge dragon or a huge snake or something like that. But I think it had to do with like some form of transformation, had to do with like kundalini awakening kind of. And inside the house as well too, I noticed that everything was being like gutted and refurbished. So it was a representation of what's happening within me. And
Wonderful.
I'm getting like mind blown with just how much spirit actually speaks to us when we're actually listening to it, and how much deeper our connection gets every single day that we decide to surrender towards it. I just thought it was an interesting segue with the topic that we had for today.
Wow.
It was like it like knows what's the next topic for the day ahead of time. It's kind of trippy cool. Not gonna lie, that's pretty badass. But
Right.
I just
And
wanted
you
to
know what's
share that.
funny is Will creates those emails and is in the moment. He doesn't think about it, so it's like we're all connected.
Oh yeah, we sure are, man. We sure are. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot more connected than we think. And doesn't matter where we're at in the world. We're really connected. And I'm trying to figure out ways to find not only answers for myself now, since that's already like happening daily. I'm trying to see if I can try to expand this gift that I have to help other people either search for things, look for things, see what they can't seem to find. Like that alien software you said you got done from the aliens,
Right.
I'm trying to see if I can create that same software, but in my dream state.
Right. Yeah.
That's the goal anyway.
Right.
It's getting real
CAT.
cool.
Assistive technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cat.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Nice. Well, thanks for letting me share. Woo!
Yeah. For
Thanks
sure.
for sharing, bro.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
any,
so it's 12 o'clock, 12:09.
yeah. So,
Should end it.
yeah.
Oh, but before we end the call, so tomorrow we'll have we'll be streaming at the original time. So not 11 Eastern, 10 Eastern. We're gonna talk to Jerry.
Yeah.
So we'll see you 1 hour earlier. And then yep, we'll send out an email as well just to remind you guys.
There you have it. So, congratulations. Thanks for showing up. I trust you got something out of it.
And can we end it with that video? Alrighty. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 PM Eastern. And yep, we'll end it with this video. Infinite love.
Hi there, my name's Jamie Devine. Welcome to I Am Divinity. I'm super excited for you to embark on this journey. Just congratulations for even finding I Am Divinity. My journey has been over 16 years of personal development, spiritual programs, multiple religions. I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 13. I never had a regular job. And so going through all of that, showing up to Don Smith 4 years ago to take his instant and permanent transformation, first of all, sounded a little hard to believe because I had done so much work and I still had all my shit. I was still an alcoholic, a weed addict, a narcissist. My financial gains in business and investing would shoot up and then cut right down and start over, shoot up, cut right down, and I could never hold my success. Going through his program, it was about 2 hours. All of my toxic patterns and programs were completely gone. Literally just gone in a second. And I can't even describe how liberating that moment was for me. But right after that, I told Don, I said, I don't want to do any of the business that I'm currently doing. I woke up to my purpose for coming to the planet when Don told me his vision of raising humanity's consciousness to the level of 700 on the scale, enlightenment, which was the cause of all causes. The level of consciousness is the cause of all of our individual and collective problems on the planet. And so to finally have that solution, experiencing that solution for myself, I just wanted to tell everyone and anyone that would listen. And of course, with all my entrepreneur background and my skills in marketing, I made an agreement with Don so that I could just, literally my job would be to hold my light and share my light with others and bring them to the process and actually get compensated for it. And so I'm super excited to announce that we've now created this entire system for you too. Now imagine that, being able to go through this instant and permanent transformation for yourself, be liberated of all your toxic patterns and programs, literally within a couple hours. And then on top of that, being able to have all your financial fuel and energy and livelihood come from this divine system. And so there's a few pieces to it. Number one, we have an affiliate partnership program. So you're a partner. Your job is to hold your light, share your light, and anyone that's attracted to it, bring them to the program, and we pay out 30% of all the financial part of the system to you. That's the first part. The second part is my experience in the financial realm took me into Forex and crypto over the last 10 years. And I've been through all the roller coaster rides, all the ups and downs, all the scams and schemes. And we landed on just a couple people that were actually full of integrity, that have actually gone through the divinity process, and that are like nothing else. So our Forex fund is ran by an institutional trader. And if you've ever done anything in the financial realm in Forex, 99% of the retail space, the average everyday person, it's a scam. It's a scheme. You're going to lose your money. Maybe you're one of the few that got in early and took the money from the others, but eventually it collapses. I've seen them come and go over the years. But this institutional trader, he has 7 years of experience, and we have his entire track record of his strategy. He has an algorithm. He spent over $20 million in development up to this point. And so even with all that being said, there's still no guarantees. Of course, when it comes to investing, please only risk what you can afford. But we found something that's more solid than I've ever experienced, and it's where our personal funds are. And so you'll have access to that as well. His team has produced over the last 7 years on average 50 to 60% per year on the funds. And you don't have to do anything. You open up the brokerage account, our team will help you do that, and you park your funds there like you would a bank account, and his algorithm trades on all of the accounts. And so we can expect a 50 to 60% if it's anything like the previous average. But again, all the past performance never guarantees anything in the future. Just please be mindful of that. And then the last piece is our crypto fund. Now the crypto fund is very time sensitive. So a good friend of mine, Josh, who's handling the crypto fund, he's become an expert at this stuff. That's all he does every day. He goes and researches the top legitimate projects in crypto. To give you an example, in 2021, which was the last crypto bull run, Josh on his personal portfolio did over 8,000% that year. 8,600 to be exact. And so this was a kid that was 21 at the time and had his life savings in crypto and became a millionaire over that year of investing. And so just this last year, Josh told me, hey, I'm gonna do what I did last bull run, but I'm gonna open it to a few friends and family. I said, Josh, no problem, I trust you. I sent him the funds for myself, and then I said, Josh, I want to open this up to our entire community. He said, well, I don't know if legally that's a little tough. I said, don't worry, I'll work on that. And we created Divine Markets, which is a legal entity to be able to facilitate this, both the Forex fund and the crypto fund. And so we overcame that, and Josh is exclusively handling all the crypto for our community. And his target for the next year is 1,000%, about a 10x on the funds. And again, there's absolutely no guarantees. Please only risk what you can afford to risk. And so that's it. That's the overview. It's pretty simple. You got the affiliate partnership program, which again is just going to share the financial part with you so that you can actually create a network and an income for yourself while holding your light and sharing your light. Which, by the way, going through this process, we wouldn't be able to pay you to not tell people about it, because you're just going to be radiating and people are going to be attracted to you. And so we just wanted to create a system where we're all partners in this to reach that goal of 114 superheroes of light that are holding this and shifting humanity's consciousness. And so I welcome you to be a part of that vision and mission and part of our team. And I'm excited for you to go through your process. By the way, all of this financial part is only exclusively available to those of you that have gone through the process and committed to that. And so it's not going to be available to anyone else. So what a bonus, what a reward for accessing your light and holding it, that you get access to an institutional trading fund that you wouldn't be able to get access to unless you had $250,000 and you're an accredited investor and all those things that the institutions look for. So we created a bridge for you on that. And the crypto fund, unless you know someone like Josh, and even if you did, it's not cheap or easy to get involved with those things. But we've made it easy for those of you that go through this process. It's a $500 minimum on the Forex fund, $500 minimum on the crypto fund. So that's it. I'm excited for you, and we'll see you on the other side.